You're listening to Force Majeure, an actual play Star Wars podcast. My name is Adam and I'm your host, and today's episode will be brought to you after these words from our sponsors. Hello, fellow organics. Like you, I am an organic with organic needs and organic urges. And I find the best way to manage those urges is with the help of the latest Y6 model excruciator droid from the Zypher Corporation. For when you lack the discipline yourself to be clean and tidy and rational and need a little extra help along the way. Buy now and get a free charging post and Omnimod thrown in. But wait, there's more. If you upgrade to the Deluxe Y6A model excruciator droid and sign suitable disclaimers, you get a 16% discount on our bargain-backed line of emergency medical treatments. Because you can never have too much peace of mind. The Zypher Corporation, looking after you because someone needs to do it.
They were amazing sponsors. My name is Ed Fortune, and you're listening to Force Majeure, which is an actual play Star Wars podcast, which you would have figured out by clicking on the thing to download the podcast itself.
And indeed the bit a few seconds ago when I said an actual play Star Wars podcast, but we like to hammer it home, Ed.
Yeah, hammer it home. So I'm Ed Fortune. I will be the storyteller, referee, games master type person. Essentially, I'm the monkey that makes the story go forward. And I can't do any of that without some absolutely amazing players. And I have some of those because I'm a very lucky person. Would they care to introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm Mikey. I'm playing Dalen Kyrain, and his favourite dessert is Blemon ice cream.
My name is Adam, and I play Tychus Bar. Tychus's favourite dessert is a type of very thick, rich, chocolatey cake. Certainly, there is a great deal of sugar, lots of strong flavour in there, and that probably goes a long way, really, that combination of sugar and cocoa and stimulants, to explain why Tychus is who he is and why Tychus does what he does.
Hi, I'm Ross. I play the Doc, and he quite likes the ice cream on Kina Bale. He gets brains freeze from it, but so it's an interesting sensation.
Yes, you having two brains.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mim. I play Roy, and Roy's favourite dessert is nuts and bolts.
That's good. Subtle, but good. Understated. It needs no more.
Many galactic scholars say that there are many interesting things to do on Kina Bel. There are many ruins, there are many bars, there are many interesting exotic flora and fauna. But those all agree that the best thing to do when on Kina Bel is to leave. So, party, currently you'd flown straight into a TIE fighter group who are currently behind you, and there appears to be some sort of, shall we say, space war in the stars going on.
Mm-hmm.
The way we're going to do this is we're going to be kind of running it in a kind of narrative combat way unless people really want to roll out the initiatives.
Very happy with narrative combat. I just want you to know that I have an ability that makes it easier for me to escape from chasers.
Cool. So, just to give you a rough idea as to what's going on, the sky is on fire, pretty much, as there are various types of spaceships shooting each other. You are right in the middle of it all.
So, we are flying at top speed. There is no question about that. We are also trying to keep quite low because it's quite difficult to fly at top speed and quite low. And anybody who wants to follow us will have to also be quite good at flying.
From the cargo hold, Tychus flips on the comm mostly so that Kay can also hear and goes, "Right, it looks like we're coming out hot. I'm going to get straight to the engine room, Kay, so I can give the old girl a little bit of extra life if we need it. Roy, can you get on the guns if we need them? Doc, find that Chadra fan. Gaffer tape him back up and put him back in the damn refresher. I made him a promise and he's not getting free until I'm satisfied he's not done horrible things in my ship." And then Tychus rushes off to the engine room.
Okay, so what Tychus doesn't hear is Kay replying, going, "Okay, but make sure everybody straps in."
Yeah, I was going to say, the Doc was attempting to strap in, but I would like to know whether or not that counts as a coercion roll. Because the Doc was quite keen on not falling over, because the last I remember of Kay's plan was he's going to make this ship roll until anything that shouldn't be is fallen out.
You can entirely roll it, but you could just go and sit down if you want.
I mean, yeah, Tychus isn't trying to coerce you. He's just asked you to do something.
Yeah, it's not an attack.
Yeah, he's doing his own thing.
I remember the song, Click Click. That probably wasn't the words from the song, but
It wasn't.
Tychus will clunk click as soon as he's in the engineering room. Fortunately, because we have designed in the Fire Opal rebuild, specifically knowing that Kay used to be a fighter pilot, on the way down to the engineering room, and I'll flip a light side point for this, there are a series of handholds both on the roof and the side of the walls, designed so that if we start doing combat spins, Tychus has 4 arms and can hold himself in place and kind of monkey himself along.
Yeah, it is specifically designed for Tychus and not for the rest of us, though.
Yeah.
That is the thing I
Yeah,
would say.
you know.
Yeah, happy for you to flip a light side point. I would say that there's also a bunch of carabiners on ropes, so when you're in the engine room, you can clip in.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Because that's where Tychus is mostly based, so yeah. He imagines that the other passengers will be clunk clicked in, or because Roy, he imagines will be in the gunnery seat, which has seat belts, and the Doc will be probably somewhere safe out of the way so it doesn't get blown up.
Like you would be if you were in a cargo airplane.
Yeah.
You can clip in, pull the carabiner in, and that if you say you're clicking in when you're in the engine room, I'm assuming that you're not sat down, you're clipped into.
No.
Because otherwise that's just madness.
Yeah, he's clicked on.
Does any other podcast about Star Wars pay as much attention to vehicle safety as we do?
Well, I don't think any other podcast has a song about strapping into your ship, so probably not, no. Okay, the Fire Opal increases speed. It can't outrun the TIE fighters, but it can give them a good chase. The Fire Opal is an incredibly fast ship for its size. And Tychus, you start hearing the engines purring as we push the ship faster and faster. Kay's keeping it really low, the idea being that the more difficult it is to follow him, the more likely the TIE fighters are to make a mistake and crash. Of course, that means the more likely Kay is to make a mistake and crash. But he's hoping he's a better pilot than they are. The comms fires to life again. We can't outrun them, but we can outfly them. Really, everybody strap in.
Can I have a piloting check, please? Are there any specific manoeuvres you're going for?
I'm just making it as difficult as possible for any of the TIEs to follow us.
Are you going for evasive manoeuvres or are you accelerating?
I think we're going to be evasive manoeuvring. It all depends. Are we at top speed already, or do you need us to accelerate more?
You will need to accelerate further if you want to achieve, because you've literally just launched, so you'll need to accelerate first.
Well, then I am punching it.
Okay, you punch it. Can I have a perception roll from the Doc, please?
difficulty?
2.
1 success, 1 advantage.
You hear a high-pitched squeak from somewhere in the direction of the refresher.
Bong, 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 bong.
I may have found him.
Okay. What difficulty am I rolling for punching it?
It's 2.
Okay. I get a boost because I have the shortcut ability, and we are very much at this time escaping an opponent. Okay, so I get 4 successes and 1 advantage.
Okay, you break away from their pattern.
Mhm.
I take it you've gone sharply upwards.
Not a great deal, no. The plan is to rise up a little bit, so we're just off the ground and then shoot forwards. So we're keeping as low to the floor as possible. Essentially what I'd like to do is make following us the most difficult piloting they will have ever undertaken. Because they're going to have to keep low, and they're going to have to keep fast, and they're going to be nearly missing a lot of scenery just to keep up with us.
You're in a series of canyons, so it's about to get more progressively difficult as we go. They open fire.
Mm-hmm.
They miss because they're not quite in range, but you have been engaged. It's less shooting you to hit you and more shooting you to stop you from going further up. They are above you ever so slightly. They're above and behind, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
But they have identified you as a target. It's almost like you have an extremely distinctive shape.
We do. Now, the problem is they're in TIE fighters, so they go at pretty much the same speed as us. So we can't outrun them. Because we are a very fast ship, but TIE fighters are very fast. So we're going to have to shoot them.
So, who is manning the guns? Is it Roy?
And potentially Carween if we've got 2 guns. What with him being a Schusterator?
I don't think we've got 2. We've got 1 in the... We've got seconds in the...
Yeah, I don't think we've got 2 guns.
In which case, yes, it'll just be Roy.
Yeah, we just got top-mounted, unreliable quad lasers.
Yeah.
If we are level and not doing too much stupid manoeuvring, the doc is prepared to try and medically treat Carween or anybody else who needs it.
Carwin is in need of patching. He turns around to Roy and says, I can spot.
He could also get in the co-pilot's chair, or the doc could.
That sounds like a thing the doc can do. I mean, when we came out here, I was manning I was on this console, so...
Carwin goes over to another communications console and goes, Tigers, the console, the bright blue console, is that observations?
Aye, Carween, that it is. You get spotting. And if you see that little Chazra fan scampering around, help the doc, just take him down. Don't kill him.
Okay, Roy.
Yeah.
What would you like to shoot? You have Carween saying left a bit, right a bit, steady, left a bit, right a bit, over on the comm. What he's actually doing is he's feeding you data from the ship's cameras.
Okay. So, Rory's going to yell, anyone in particular?
On your scanner, there are 3 sets of H's and there are 3 sets of V's. Carween goes, there's 2 groups, interceptors and ties, and identifies a set on the scanners. It looks like the interceptors are swooping in for an attack.
Are any of them at close range?
The interceptors are about to make close range, yes. They're swooping in for the kill.
Okay, I will aim at the lead interceptor then.
Make a gunnery attack roll.
Okay. Difficulty?
It would be 2.
My gunnery is 1 yellow and 2 green. That is 2 success and 1 advantage.
How would you like to spend the advantage?
I'll give it as a boost to... Is it better to go to bar or just to the next player?
I would strongly advise bar, to be honest.
In that case, I would like to use that advantage to give a boost to bar in engineering. As Roy fires, he goes, pew, 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 pew.
So your damage is 5. How many successes did you get?
2 successes.
So that's 7 damage.
So, there is an explosion as you miss the front tie. However, the tie directly behind it, which is running interference, basically flies straight into your guns.
Woohoo!
And there is a explosion. How does Roy respond?
With a fist pump.
Either Tigus or Dr. Specs next.
Well, I'll go if that's all right and try and get some system strain back as I'm basically babying the engines back up to full speed. So with both from Roy, I'm not using 455 because we're moving around too violently. The poor little devil will be thrown around. So that's 3 yellow and a blue against 1 purple.
Okay.
Crikey. So that is 5 successes and 1 advantage.
Wow.
So that is all of our strain back. And I'm going to pass that advantage on as a bouncing boost because I have no strain of my own.
Am I the only one left?
You are.
So the doc's going to do a fire discipline test. That's discipline, but on hard difficulty. He's got 1 success and 2 advantage.
Okay.
So that gives Roy a boost to Roy's next firing for the success.
That stacks with what Carwin's doing as well. What Carwin's doing is he's reading the map. What you're doing is you're making sure that the actual systems are in the right place, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Also means that you don't accidentally shoot off your wings, which you can do on this ship.
Are you banking that for a despair, Ed?
Yes, I am. Okay, you get peppered with shots. Again, the first round of shots from the ties mean that it's going to be very hard for you to pull up. Again, the interceptors respond, so that'd be 6 damage. They pepper you with shots. They are incredibly impressive. They bounce off the shields quite spectacularly, and you get that blue crackling effect. Also, the lights on the spaceship dim and fade briefly.
Okay, so we're doing well. We're a much bigger ship than them, so we can take a few shots before we actually take a great deal of damage.
What would you like to do now? The interceptors have closed in. The other group of ties are above you.
Do they appear to be focusing on us because we're trying to leave the area, or are they not picky about who they're fighting?
You have to figure out a way that you could figure that out. I think mostly you're being shot at because you're a distinctive non-imperial ship with some known local colour who have been seen fleeing the temple, and they'll probably have orders to detain everyone or just to kill them. Okay, so back to Kay. What manoeuvre are you doing next?
I could go with evasive manoeuvres, which would make it more difficult to shoot them, but it would also make it more difficult for them to shoot us.
Directly ahead of you are what appear to be a series of, for the want of a better word, organic Gothic spires. They're like big black obelisk-y things of a spiral design pattern that go all the way up to like a kind of concertina antenna sort of way, if you see what I mean. And they drop down. They look really impressive, but you're going so quickly you don't really get to see what they look like. But they look Gothic is the word.
All right.
And there's a lot of them.
How difficult do I think it would be to fly through these at the speed we're going?
Oh, tricky. We're looking at a 3 here.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool, I'm flipping a dark side point.
Yeah.
The light shines off them as well as the ties above you just start shooting at you to try and keep you in your place. You can see the like light shine off, and there's kind of like a blue actinic look to the whole thing.
Does anybody mind if I spend a light side point?
Nope.
Cool. My dice pool here is 4 yellow, 1 red, 2 purple, a force dice, and also a boost because I'm using shortcut.
And a boost from me from my engineering test as well from before.
So this is the most yellow roll I've ever made. And yet it's pretty level.
It's a wash.
It's not quite a wash. That is 4 successes and 1 light side point, and I'm going to use the light side point to turn into an advantage, just to add a boost onto the next person.
Okay, you are starting to weave through the spires. As you do so, because it's a classic, you disturb a nest of Sharbalin bats. Who would like to do a thing next?
Who was next? Do you want to try and shoot, Roy?
Yeah, I'm happy to give another shot if Carwayne can spot me one.
Carween swears loudly and says, "The bats, the bats!" No boost this time round.
Well, that's good. That is 3 successes and 1 advantage.
So that's 8 damage, but not enough advantage to use a...
To activate the guns. So you hit the one that was actually in the lead at the start. It's on the fire, and it appears to be leaving the group, as it were. You've got a solid hit. It hasn't blown up, but it appears to be...
peeling off.
Peeling off.
Bats can blow up?
You're not shooting the bats.
You were shooting the ties. Weren't you shooting the ties? I thought you were shooting the ties.
Carwayne said bats.
Okay, never mind.
So Roy instead shot the bats. Well, fair.
Okay.
I was not trying to be awkward, to be completely honest.
No, that's entirely fine.
It's very, very Roy. It is exceedingly Roy.
I wasn't even being Roy. I was like, Carwayne can spot for me, and he said bats.
In fairness, if your spotter shouts bats and bats appear, you assume that they are the bigger threat. That's the spotter's job.
Radio crackles over. Do you get them? Yeah, I got them.
Oh man, I wasn't even trying.
So what happens is this: you shoot into the bat swarm. The bat swarm veers away from you quite dramatically. There's red stuff everywhere because, as you remember, the Sharbalin bats blow up quite easily. So there's a series of explosions as they go off, and they panic towards the 2 pilots who are behind you. One of them definitely gets out of the way. The other one, however, gets hit by a bat swarm and peels off.
Yay!
Totally intended to do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remembered my Charlemagne.
Tychus.
So Tychus is going to boost the shield, I think. All our enemies are coming from behind us, really, so I'm going to try to attempt to boost the rear shields. So that is a 3 purple mechanics test.
And add strain to the ship if successful.
If successful,
and gives me more black dice to roll when I'm trying to blow you up, yeah?
That is correct, yes. That is 3 successes and a threat. So it is successful, so the rear shields go up by 1 until next turn. We take a strain to the ship, and we've got that threat, Ed.
Yeah, I'm going to put that threat in my pocket for now. It's about to pop up very shortly, though. Dr. Smex, what are you doing?
I'm going to spoof missiles, because tracking incoming attack seems like a thing.
Okay.
I'm trying to put other people off shooting us, seems to be a thing. If it's a normal check, this is an average computer's check.
So what you're doing is you're sending a false message to the pursuing craft that missiles have been launched. Is that correct?
Yeah.
No, it's to stop them shooting missiles at us, is what that does. It's so that if they shoot guided missiles at us, you fill it full of chaff so that they don't hit us. What about scanning the enemy? Or plotting the course?
Plotting the course would be very useful given the fact that you are in unique terrain.
Yeah, I can do that. I just thought this would be the more sensible one, just get the enemy off our track.
But that's not what it does, is the problem.
Okay.
Unless, of course, Ed wants to house rule it, in which case it does.
I can let you either use the computers to jam the missiles, or you can try and send essentially the equivalent of a crybaby message across saying that missiles have been launched, which is you hacking into Imperial friend or foe systems in order to convince it that it's that something bad has happened.
Well, trying to jam them sounds like something that's better to my skill set at the minute, whereas plotting a course, I don't even know where we're supposed to be going, so...
You don't have any piloting or anything like that, do you?
No, I've purely just 1 green for piloting.
Right, okay. So you wouldn't know that TIE fighters tend not to have missiles?
No, I wouldn't know that.
So do it!
So what would you like to do? Would you like to send a false reading to the enemy ships, or would you like to scan ahead?
Jamming sounds like it's more within the skill set of the dog, so...
Okay.
So I'm going to make an average computer's check. I've got 1 failure. It's not going well.
Oh.
Negative. We are meat popsicles.
I want to spend the previous threat. Essentially, you shouldn't be able to do this because the protocol should be in place, but you go through the command lines, and because a linkage has been opened somewhere, the targeting system goes down. You've taken the targeting offline in trying to transmit, so that's black die to shooting next round.
Oh well.
And it's their turn to shoot you, which they will try. Oh dear.
Well, that's not ominous at all.
When the GM laughs like that, just run.
So, 2 things happen at once. Firstly, there is a rake of fire across the top of the ship, and you can see the blue lightning effect going off. It would have been an amazing hit that would have critically damaged the engines had Titus not shielded that exact area. Unfortunately, it also means that the pilot is way too close, and what he was expecting to happen, which was a bang and then a maneuver change, doesn't happen. And he rapidly veers into the side of one of the spires that you are skillfully weaving through. You see him bail out as the side of his TIE fighter explodes. And at that point, your targeting system goes down.
Okay. Were there more of them?
There's 3 above you.
Okay.
What was that? Did we take a hit? There's sparks flying all over my consoles down here.
I can't tell. Something's jamming us? That can't be right.
Damn bats have got us.
Right, I'll see if I can't kick that back into shape.
I'm gonna do something stupid.
I'm strapped in.
Clock click. I can't see the other bogies, says Carbine.
Right, I'm gonna see if I can divert power and get our systems back properly online. Okay, take us through.
I hope you don't mind being upside down. The way I see it, the targeting systems are down this round, so there's no point in us firing this round, because it's going to be really difficult. So I'm going to use evasive actions to upgrade their difficulty to shoot us.
Okay. I will flip a dark side point.
I'll flip it back then, I think, to keep us all safe, because this is a stupid roll. Oh, it's getting more and more difficult. 1 success, and I'm not taking that dark side. So 1 success. So that means they're already on difficulty 3. They're going to be on difficulty 4, making it really, really difficult to hit us.
Okay. Anyone who's in front of a console and also at the gunnery station can make a perception check at this point to look with your eyes to see what's going on.
Okay.
Basically, everyone except Tychus, because Tychus is in the engine room and relies on consoles. And you actually have quite a nice observation deck on this ship.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure yacht.
What difficulty was it again, sorry?
Just 2.
Okay. So 4 successes, 2 disadvantage, and a triumph.
Oh, wow.
1 threat.
What annoys me is that I had 4 yellow dice on the last one, didn't get a single triumph. But on this one, where I've got my 1 yellow dice and 2 green dice, up comes the triumph.
What did Roy make?
I got 1 success and 1 advantage.
Dr. Smex, you see a tunnel system, you don't like the look of it. You really don't like the look of it. Roy, you see, like, directly below where you are, an entirely different cabin system that you're pretty sure will pop you out further along the way. It's like the tube system that you've already been in, if you see what I mean. So it's essentially an abandoned motorway from the old city. You can see that entire route, as it were.
Cool.
Okay, you see several things. Firstly, there are a group of Z95 fighters in Black Sun livery,
Oh, great.
which is not the Hut Cartel,
Nope.
and some Dune lizards
Mhm.
in Hut Cartel livery about to engage the TIE fighters and each other.
Nice. Distraction. Always nice.
They're using you as bait. You've seen this sort of behaviour before. These are 2 rival groups who have decided mutually to take out the greater threat first before they murder each other.
Okay.
It's a Hutties standoff, essentially. You also see
Yeah.
a whole undercity motorway pass that you're reasonably confident that a skilled pilot could use to evade detection. How would you like to spend the triumph?
I would like to spend the triumph by finding somewhere which we're a big ship. I'd like to thread the needle as close as I can down one of these tunnel systems, and I'd like not to fly into a dead end. That would be good.
With the triumph, what I'll let you do is like suddenly have that kind of moment of brilliance, and you flip 2 switches at the top, you flip 2 switches at the bottom, and a scan appears of the safest path. It still requires incredible skill.
I was going to say, I'm less safest and most difficult that I can get through. Because we're trying to get away from these people. I'm going to make it difficult. Essentially, what I'd like to do is force the difficulty up high enough so they also have to roll the same difficulty. You know what I mean?
Okay, do you want to make a piloting roll to try and thread that needle? Does anyone else want to do anything before Kay does that?
I would like to try and get the power back onto our various systems, including kind of our forward plotting system.
Okay.
To help, because that will then open that up for maybe either Roy or the Doc or Carween, who have almost certainly got a higher perception score than me, to help plot that course. What's the difficulty of rebooting the systems, Ed?
That's a 2. I'm going to give you 1 black die though because of the circumstances.
Okay, and I remove that black die because of my gearhead. That is more like it. 1 success, 1 advantage, 1 triumph.
Oh, nice. Well, 1 success is all you need to pop the systems back online. What would you like to do with the triumph?
With the triumph, I would like to upgrade Kay's piloting. Oh, upgrade the next test, which will be probably someone plotting the course to help Kay. This system gets supercharged and start working with hyper efficiency, but only for a short period of time. And my advantage, I'm going to pass on to as a boost to that roll as well.
Several things happen at once. For a start, the air conditioning turns on.
I didn't even know we had air conditioning.
It's really pleasant. It smells really nice.
Piney.
So some relaxing music turns on as well. You weren't aware that you turned that system back on, and everything is working the way it's supposed to. All of the overlays that shouldn't be there from old systems have been bypassed the way they're supposed to. So it's working the way it actually, almost the way it would have done back in the day when it came out of the factory, but not that much. Dr. Smex.
I mean, the doctor is looking at this tunnel going, not sure this is a good idea, but
And suddenly we're straight down it.
yeah, Kay hasn't led us wrong yet.
Oh, I have. First time we flew anywhere, I crashed into a wall.
Yeah, but that was almost deliberate, though. That's to save Roy.
Can't you Jedi scum, like, feel the path ahead of you or something?
I could if I was looking.
He's turned off his targeting computer.
I've just closed my eyes. Makes it more exciting.
I'll go with scan the enemy. Seems like a thing.
Okay.
So not plot course then. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, plot score sounds better, actually. Yeah, let's do
It
that.
sounds a lot better than what we mentioned.
Yep.
It's perception.
Perception is 2 green.
Yep, it's 3 purple.
Is there a boost?
There is a boost and an upgrade, so one of your greens turns into a yellow.
Okay.
Go, Duck, go!
It's quite a difficult test, and that's not a lot of dice. I would like to use a light side point.
I was about to advise you using a light side point. That's a very wise decision.
So with 2 yellow and a blue against 3 purple,
Yep.
2 advantage, 1 failure.
Oh, that's okay. You know what? This is brilliant. It makes everything interesting.
Yeah, I just ignore you.
Don't go near that tunnel. Don't go near that tunnel.
Go down that tunnel. Right.
I like the idea that basically this is like, you know, when you have your sat nav on and she goes, turn left, and you go, no. Recalculating.
How would you like to spend
The advantage.
the advantage?
Boost to Roy to shoot the tyres that are still chasing us down.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, if we're going to do it, let's have as few people following us as possible.
Given that Kay's frankly ignoring your directions.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to do this, let's not have too much of an audience in case we get it wrong and it gets embarrassing.
We're not taking the toll road.
We are travelling down really tight pipes at maximum speed, and we are very quick. I don't think there's going to be a problem if we crash.
So one of the things that kind of distracts you, Dr. Smex, is like you're going through the map and you're like trying to figure out what's going on, and then you notice that there is a very large triangle-shaped ship almost directly above where you are, and you've got that moment of where did that come from?
Is it a giveaway sign?
It's a Star Destroyer.
Oh.
As anybody with any levels of computers or piloting would know, however, to you, oh my god, it's a Derrily triangle. What's that doing here?
And it's pumping out ties. Ties are coming from it at a rate into your general area. Roy, 3 TIE fighters have very, very kindly and appreciably decided to get into range.
Are there any bats in range?
They aren't any. Well, you could try shooting one of the spires to see if you walk any of them up.
TIE
No,
fighters look like bats, to be honest.
I'm just being flippant. I dealt with the bats.
They look like very angry H's.
They do.
Okay, so that's with gunnery. Is it still difficulty 2?
Yes.
Am I getting any boosts from anybody?
I'm happy for those advantages to be spent on boost dice for whoever's next.
Are any of his instructions possibly useful to me?
He has pointed out that the group of ties that were directly above you have dropped down because they've been replaced by another group of ties, if you see what I mean.
Okay, then using a boost from the Doc's advice, thanks Doc, that's 2 green, 1 yellow, 1 blue versus 2 purple, and that is no successes or failures, just 2 advantage.
How would you like to spend those advantage?
Can I have missed the TIE fighters, obviously, but possibly hit some overhanging rocks to either block them or make it more difficult?
Yeah, no, that seems reasonable to me.
Is that both advantages for that, or just one?
That would be both advantages. You're knocking out some of the spires.
I'll do that. Oh, bats!
What happens is one of the spiky towers that you blow up whilst you're causing a distraction moves, and you realise that it's an organic life form that's kind of been disturbed from its slumber. It's a big looking thing as well, and it does not look happy. There's also stuff everywhere. You've caused a lot of rubble. There's a patter of fire on the shields. There's some impressive sparks. The air conditioning stops.
Oh, 6 seconds of air conditioning, that's all we got.
Tychus sees some sparks from a console, but you take no hull damage.
Cool.
Party.
I would like to force the TIE fighters to roll... How many dice should we make them roll if they want to follow us? Say 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to force the TIE fighters to, if they want to follow us, they need to do a 4 purple dice roll.
Okay.
I mean, they've got better handling than us, but I imagine I'm a better pilot than them. So.
Now that you get a better look at what's the big triangle that's above you, you think it's somewhere between a corvette and a destroyer. The only person who would know would be Kay, who's too busy flying the ship.
Yeah. Okay, this is quite an interesting roll. So that's 4 successes. I imagine I scraped the ship a little bit because 3 threat and a triumph.
Nice.
So we fit through some gaps that are literally a few inches bigger than the ship. we make some frankly foolish maneuvers in very tight spaces and add the threat on us straight into the ship?
Yeah, I think so.
There's sparks and there's another explosion as strain happens, and the shields flicker on and off in that weird pattern way that they do.
Can we make it more difficult? Can we upgrade their rolls?
With that triumph, yeah.
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 Let's upgrade their rolls so they now have to roll red and 3 purple to follow us.
Okay, so essentially what you do is you completely ignore the map that's been given to you, and almost instinctively you figure out like a route through, and you find yourself in a vast cavernous area, and it's only pure instinct that lets you navigate through. This is clearly an extremely dangerous space. It's huge because you're flying through it at speed, but this is an abandoned, hidden city space that you're flying across. Behind you, you hear 2 TIE fighters explode. You have successfully evaded pursuit, and after about a minute of flying in absolute darkness and utter terror, feel free to roleplay your hearts out as you scream and shout and yell at Kay.
But there are lights on in the ship and they can't see out windows. We're fine.
Yeah, it's like she gotta take the pressure, Captain. She gotta take it.
Yeah, Kay is just very calmly, almost focused, working purely off instruments. Not even looking out the window, just going off of the scans, which is probably a mistake at...
Thud. Thud. Found the chatter, fam.
Oh dear. He needs a song singing to him, that's what he needs. And then I think once we know that we are out of danger, I'm going to find somewhere to set it down and then turn off all of our... Basically hide. Do a giant worm Millennium Falcon.
What basically happens is that you come out of the sands of the desert because you're going so fast that it's not a sheer wall and the sand is constantly shifting, and you kind of come out of the edge from underneath the city, and with an explosive spray.
See, if I wasn't working only off instruments, I wouldn't have done that. But the instrument said there was nothing there, so I go straight through it.
Shattering centuries of shale and crystalline deposit that's, ruining several ecosystems as you go through it. Blasting your way through. You are in the middle of nowhere. You're not too far away from... You're always in the middle of nowhere. It's Cinnabel. You're not actually too far away from Red Yes. You're much closer to Bracca's palace. And I think as the ship stops and lands and gently pinks away as the shields start to calm down, we'll leave it there for now.
And before we leave you, this episode's patron is Big Rob. Big Rob is a very old friend of myself and the cast. He has the misfortune of being in games I run fairly regularly, and despite all that, he continues to be my friend and play in those games. He supported the show since the very start, and listeners might know him better as the voice of Drenzo Ness, the littlest Mandalorian from the Tiny Tiger's Adventures. Thank you very much, buddy, for all the support you've given us in the, nearly 3 years since we've been going. It's very much appreciated, and we're glad to have you on board. Right, stay safe, stay well, stay hydrated, wear a mask, and we will see you next time. Force Majeure is played using the Star Wars Force and Destiny game system by Fantasy Flight Games and Lucas Books. Our intro music for this season is Unholy Night by Kevin MacLeod, and our outro music remains Suburban Outlaw by Forget the Whale, both used with gratitude under the Creative Commons license. If you like the show and want to interact with us, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, all of which are at Force Majeure Pod, though Twitter is probably where you're going to find us more regularly. If you enjoy what we do and want to support the show, there's 3 ways you can do that. The first is via our Patreon at patreon.com/forcemajeurepod. The second is by buying us a coffee
at ko-fi.com/forcemajeurepod. And the third way is by rating and reviewing us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere where you can find us. We really like reviews. It tells us that we're telling the stories that you want to hear and helps other people find us. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time.